So I wanted today to respond to a question that somebody sent in. He was thinking about our what we have on our website, Creating Peace in a Chaotic World. And his question, I had never thought of this, his question was, since everything depends on karma, is the world really chaotic? Yeah. And so why did we call it creating peace in a chaotic world, if things depend on karma? So, yes, saying that things depend on karma mean that things depend on causes and conditions. So in terms of depending on causes and conditions, it means that events don't happen randomly without any kind of causal energy behind them. So in that way, things are not chaotic because they're not random. But that's not the meaning when we say creating peace in a chaotic world. That wasn't the meaning of chaotic, because chaotic can also mean out of hand, completely crazy, incomprehensible, like that. And so that's the meaning of chaotic when we say that the Abbey is bringing peace in a chaotic world. Because in people's lives, they feel that there's a lot of chaos. You read the news and the news is chaotic, or you're trying to work on a project and things aren't going the way you want, or you're trying to, bring up your children in a certain way and they're exposed to influences that you would prefer for them not to have. And so in that way, the world's chaotic. So I think the answer to this question was, there's different means of the meaning of chaos, and we have to deal with clearly in creating peace in a chaotic world. We're referring to one, not the other. In saying that people experience the world as chaotic, and our minds are certainly chaotic, with one thought and another thought and all of our contradictory mental factors and, our fickle mind changing our mind, all the time, changing our opinions, all of this happening. I think that, we have to greet that kind of chaos with some kind of feeling of love and compassion and understanding. Yeah, sometimes, the way people deal with chaos in their world is either by lashing out and getting angry and taking it out on the environment, or by self-medicating, drinking, drugging, going shopping, gambling, all this kind of stuff. And so both of those methods for dealing with chaos in one's life, meaning that you don't understand what your life is about and you can't control the things that are happening to you. I think that, in the face of that, having an attitude of kindness and tolerance, fortitude, compassion is really what we need. Yeah, because certainly striking back at the world doesn't work. That's what, many people are doing in religion and in politics now, and it leads to so much of the more heightened conflict. And similarly, just self-medicating by indulging in pleasure, or, I think a lot of what the younger generation does, they indulge in exercising their thumbs, and in that way, don't have to pay attention to what's happening in the external world, which can be very confusing, because you can just put on your favorite song, put on your, watch a new movie, text your friend about all sorts of important things like what you ate for breakfast, and so that doesn't really solve it either. So I think being able to look at things honestly and, approach them with an idea that, I have afflictions in my mind, and I also, am experiencing the results of my previously created actions. And I'm working with other people who have afflictions in their mind, who are experiencing the results of their previously created actions. And all of this is made possible due to a fundamental ignorance on the nature, about the nature of reality. And so let's have compassion for ourselves, and let's have compassion for other people. Yeah, because we're all trapped with this kind of ignorance, and with ignorance's best friend, the self-centered mind, which equally causes us problems. And so approach it, instead of being heavy-handed with ourselves, with a lot of self-criticism and a lot of, I shouldn't be this way, and the world shouldn't be this way, and I should be different, and the world should be different, and who am I to tell the world it should be different when I'm the same way as the world? Beat up, It's like that doesn't do any good. Yeah, but, to have some kind of kind attitude towards ourselves and for others, knowing that, causes can be changed, conditions can be changed, so results can be changed. And knowing that there's a path of practice that, has been followed for over 2,500 years. And if you do that practice gradually, step by step, in the correct way, that we can transform our minds and, free our minds from this ignorance. Yeah, and so in that way we can always have hope and optimism in our lives and in our minds, which is really important, I think. Yeah, definitely. So as we practice the internal chaos of all of our thoughts and judgments and opinions and, rage and everything, that lessens, and so that has a positive effect on the external world. Yeah, quite definitely. Okay, so you're saying it's hard you want to deal with things with compassion, but it's hard to maintain some kind of gentleness when everything. Yeah, that's why, before people used to translate this as patience. And patience to me is too passive of a word. Yeah, fortitude is, just as you said, it has this sense of inner strength. This sense of I'm solid, not solid and inherently existent, but I'm clear about, about what my priorities are. I'm clear about my values. I've thought things out, and so I'm firm and I'm centered. Yeah, firm doesn't mean inflexible. Okay, it just has a sense of clarity. We can be flexible considering the situation, but we're clear in our mind about what's important to us and what our values are and what our ethical standards are and what we want to do and what we don't want to do. And even though we may not always have the strength to do what we want to do and to not do what our afflictions often bully us into doing, we may not be able to always act in accord with that. But at least we know we have that clear in our mind. So when we aren't able to act in accordance with our values simply because our afflictions got too strong, then we can purify, we can come back, look at the situation, see where we went off, got off base in our way of thinking and behaving, bring ourselves back, make a determination to kind of try and stay on on track. Notice what our buttons are that make our mind riled up and unclear, so that we can work on those things in our practice. Yeah, and so in that way, I think we really increase our fortitude. And of course, the more fortitude we have, the more we can bear things. And, we don't go into freak out mode so easily. And, freak out mode is really a big problem for us. Yeah, I mean, if we can stay balanced in our attitude, even though we may not be able to, solve the situation or deal with the situation so clearly, that is much, much better than freak out mode, which says, I've got to control the situation and I can't. What am I going to do? And then we try all sorts of ridiculous things that create more problems in an attempt to control what we can't. Does that answer your question? Okay. Yeah. Okay.